Hello, everybody. Uh, we we thought we'd bring the sofas to you guys this week. We've got virtual sofas. I'm not quite sure if ModSpear is going to keep it like this, but we thought it'd be nice as a little intro to put us all virtually into the live stream room, even if we can't physically be there. ModSpear, are you going to keep it on there? Or are we going to... welcome everybody to the RuneScape weekly live stream, where we're going to give you an insight into all things RuneScape. I'm JD, and I'm joined today by some virtual live streaming newbies. Actually, Mod Warden's been on a couple of times before. He's exec producer for RuneScape. Say hello.
Hey guys.
And we are joined by some familiar faces, but people who have not been virtually introduced to you guys just as yet. We have Mod Osborne.
Why, hello.
I'm surprised his head can fit in there. And also Mod Raven.
Scumbag, you utter scumbag.
Greetings.
Hey JD, your head's pretty big too, man.
I'm to be perfectly honest with you. If you look at my head, I can't really talk, to be perfectly honest with you. So there we go. Welcome to the live stream today. We've got this in two parts today. So we kind of hyped you guys up by talking about a bit of content that we're going to announce to you guys. We'll do that very shortly. But also we're going to do a second part to this stream as well, which is going to be talking about RuneScape in slightly more general terms. So that's going to be well worth tuning in for the second half as well. But a few bits of housekeeping before we get started. So Twitch Prime is live. If you type in !Prime to the chat, you'll be able to get 400 rune coins, 20 treasure hunter keys, and 80 hearts of ice. So if you just type !Prime into the chat, or click the little crown icon in the top right hand corner of your screen, you should be able to get that. Cue the !Primes in the chat. T92 repair armor came in last week. Take a look at that if you haven't already. Yeah, and this stream will be in two parts, so don't worry if you missed the first half. The second half is definitely going to be worth tuning in for as well, and obviously we'll save this as a VOD afterwards, so you guys can watch it at your own leisure. So I'm not going to keep you guys on this any longer. I think what I quite wanted is I wanted to do kind of a really big intro to it, but I don't know, Mod Raven, do you fancy giving a little intro to where we're going with this?
I have not prepared even slightly for an intro, but
Full Potterington, do it.
Full Potterington. I need to get into character. I need the wig. I need the thing. I mean, it probably won't be a surprise to most people, but after desperate times, we are now announcing desperate measures.
Ba-bum-bum.
So, desperate measures.
We're delighted to announce that coming on Monday, July the 27th, we'll be bringing you a brand new quest, Desperate Measures. So we'll be digging deeper into Gillenor's past, teaming up with some of RuneScape's best-known heroes, giving you the chance to explore the secrets of the Dragonkin on Anachronia for some sweet rewards. So, quest time, and obviously we have Raven on the virtual sofas, we have Mod Osborne on the sofas, and we have Mod Warden on the sofas. Guys, how excited are you for Desperate Measures?
I mean, yeah, I've been working on it for ages, so I'm very excited.
Warden, how about you?
Yeah, it's like, we hear all the time from players on how important questing is, and kind of give a little bit of a tease a week or so back. And this was what I was teasing for, so it's nice to be able to talk about it. July 27th, not that far away, but this is a good refresh to questing.
20 days and counting. Osborne, we know you love your quests. How excited are you?
Yeah. Could you guess? Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, people bash on Slime, right, and say that it's a bit of a comedy throwaway quest earlier this year. When are we getting our new significant, like, lore impacting, progressing all towards elder gods, etc. quest? And we're getting it very, very soon. And to be honest, like, my favorite characters in this quest,
so Raven, for those who are uninitiated, can you give us a little bit of a rundown as to where we find ourselves at the end of Desperate Times, which is kind of the first prerequisite quest for Desperate Measures?
So, as you're aware, the Elder Gods have begun to wake up, and from Endgame, Jazz went, "Ooh, you mortals, you're a bit naughty. You need to prove that you exist, or I'll wipe all of you out completely," which they can do because they're big and powerful and scary like that. And in desperate times, you got together with a council formed by Seren to work out a solution to this problem. Seren wanted to make a lovely garden. I think Brunt wanted to get drunk. This kind of thing. And none of them could agree until Karapak turned up and went, you could just kill them, not kill them. He said, put them to sleep. And so you team up with Karapak and you go and find a legendary forgotten enchanter, aka Karos, who was Reldo all along. Or Reldo was Karos all along. That way around. And eventually, you work your way up through various puzzles and things to find the needle which Karapak believes you can use to put the Elder God into a deep slumber. And oh dear, he tricked you and he betrayed you, and instead he claims the power of the needle for himself, claiming the power of time, defeating poor old Gale, and basically going muhahaha, flying off, because what you learnt at that time was actually he was planning to kill the Elder God at the small price of all life on Gielinor. So it's a kind of mediocre cliffhanger. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's very sort of light, easily missed.
You know what? I think we should just get a series, Raven, where we just get you on a live stream, or just record it. Just record the summaries to the live stream. Yeah. Turn it into a video series. Yeah, I think it would be great. I mean,
reading the patch notes would be fine.
yeah. A dramatic reading of the patch notes. Let's do that. So how long has it been in development, guys? Because I know that obviously we talked about it at RuneFest in October time. How long have we kind of been building up to this point?
So I got this question earlier. You thought I'd have looked it up, but I forgot. I think it's been going since about March. That sounds about right. We were doing some initial designs way back when, but the designs have, as I've explained to several people, designs change and plans change and flip based on needs and whatnot. So the designs have been tweaked periodically. So we only restarted development on this in February, March time. But the story has been building up and ongoing since, but before Desperate Times happened, to be fair.
Yeah, I think to add on that, it's like, coming into the new year, people were really, really clamoring for the quest work that we had. And we made some promises at RuneFest as well. And it was just like, okay, let's prioritize something else. Let's bring this to the forefront, and let's get this out here. It's got a great story, great narrative. People want something like this, and let's just go from there.
Awesome. So we were kind of left with the ominous refrain that kind of conflict was coming at the end of Desperate Times. Mm-hmm. Will we see the development of that in the new quest?
No, we've got a completely different storyline. We thought we'd talk about cheese and penguins. No, of course we continue this storyline. It would annoy people if we didn't. We continue pretty much straight on from there. There has been some time past to acknowledge that there's been some time past. And you'll be working with an elite crack squad of people from the previous quest. I don't think it's a spoiler to point out that you'll be getting to team up with good old Thok and Karos again. Don't worry, they'll catch you up on where things are going. So you'll continue sort of straight on into... I'm trying not to give too much away.
We've got some tie-ins to archaeology with this too, I hear.
Oh, yeah. We've tried to... We brought it... I mean, archaeology worked really nicely anyway. Because it ties in nicely to the story we're trying to tell and some of the stuff that we're looking at. Because how much am I allowed to say? You will learn some stuff.
We should put that as the tagline. You will learn some stuff.
There's a good chunk of lore. There's both historical and recent lore.
Okay,
Enough.
That's intriguing.
But how about rewards there? Maud Osborne, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the positives of Desperate Measures coming out after Archaeology means that we can enrich Archaeology a wee bit. If people are really interested in projecting themselves forward to 120, etc. in Archaeology, then Desperate Measures really helps you there. We're not going to tell any more than that. I don't know if Mod Raven sprinkle any more foreshadowing, but
no, I'm aware of the the list of things I'm not supposed to talk about yet, and in the interest of not getting in trouble, let's just say it's good.
No, that's
it's
fair enough.
And if you like archaeology, you would want it, but I'm not going to risk anymore.
Your Dragonkin's important to the story, right?
Oh yeah. It continues some of the Dragonkin story, some of the stuff that we set up in previous things. It will continue. Again, I'm not telling too much, but yes, there is a good continuation of the Dragonkin storyline. Learn more about important and interesting things. And possibly
again another tagline that we could use for the quest as well. So in terms of the requirements, obviously people are going to want to prepare for this. How are we going to get people ready to kind of be able to take on the challenge come July 27th?
Okay, so the requirements, the things that you will need to do, first of all, you'll need to make sure that you've done the base tutorial at the Anachronia base camp. So make sure you've gone and done that. It's very quick, but you need to do it. On top of that, you'll need to have done Desperate Times. Obviously, this is the continuation from that, so you'll need to have done Desperate Times. You will also need 50 Agility and 50 Archaeology as the brand new skill, and have about sort of 75s in combat, give or take.
Cool. So yeah, if you haven't got your 50 archaeology already, now is the time to start getting that grind on and starting to get that skill level up to where it needs to be in order to start the quest come July 27th. Okay, interesting. So I asked the guys beforehand if we're able to share a little bit of concept art to whet your appetite. And the concept guys came back to me with something that I think Mod Spear is prepping for us now. Can you show us the concept art? So this is I'm not going to talk about it. Mod Raven, can you give us a little bit of context?
I'm not sure how much context to give. How much do I say? I mean, for a start, look at the awesome guy with the exclamation mark above his head. He's very funny. This gives you a kind of brief imagery of some of the scenes. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail, but you get to see that there's more interesting things here. You'll be delving into, as you can tell by the scientific equipment, Karapak is up to something. You'll get to learn more detailed stuff about that, and you'll get to see some very cool stuff as well. Yeah.
There are actually some spoilerish things in this image that when the quest comes back
why I'm trying to
wait a minute. We dropped things in there for people to speculate.
So I'm expecting a lot of clipping and a lot of speculation coming out onto the Discord and Reddit then after this. Okay, so in terms of Desperate Times, Desperate Measures, so players can expect to see that on July 27th. Does it? I don't want to, again, you guys give away too much information, but how is the quest left at the end of it? Is it something whereby it brings you into something else afterwards, or is it the kind of the culmination of the quest line?
That's a really tricky question to answer without sort of spoilery type things. It definitely will leave you with questions. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
It ends on things, but it keeps us going. It fires us off towards some of the things we've talked about, like, elder gods and things like that.
Yeah, it's a satisfying ending to the quest. But yeah, there's more things it builds towards.
All right. Okay. So for those guys who came into the stream late, Desperate Measures coming July 27th. Don't worry if you are thirsty for more information. We will be featuring Desperate Measures in our live streams over the next few weeks. So you'll be able to get a lot more information, a lot more insight into how we made it, and also some director's cut playthroughs as well through the content. And let's just say your appetite will be well and truly whetted by the quest launch on the 27th. So thank you very much, Raven, for joining us. We're going to bring in a couple of other people onto the chat now in a second. So just bear with us and we'll be back with you in a mo. Wow, that was quick.
That was a mo.
Well done.
Yeah, I was expecting like a slide between that.
I was expecting a be right back soon. Okay, so guys, new to the virtual sofas, we have Mike.
Hey.
Our new lead community manager.
Hey.
And this time he is not in a small room in his house somewhere. He actually has a proper setup, and by the sounds of things, a proper mic
actually,
as
it's
well.
the same room, same curtains.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you got a proper mic this time, and you might not freeze halfway through the camera.
Fingers crossed.
Lovely. Okay, so this is kind of the second part of the live stream. We wanted to talk a little bit more generally about RuneScape. There's been going on in the world, obviously in the gaming industry, and a lot of things that have been going on in Jagex as well. So we wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on where we are. And it's been a while since we've all been on a live stream together. Well, in fact, it's probably the first time we've ever had this roster of people on the live stream together. So last time we kind of all got to I suppose like a leadership per se live stream. We were kind of talking about Archaeology's launch, whereabouts we were, and that's a hugely substantial piece of content to be releasing around a time when there was a lot of uncertainty going on. How have we all found adapting to the new way of working, this new normal where everybody is remote and we're kind of having to do live streams with mattresses in the background and all of that kind of stuff? Let's start with you, Mod Osborne, because we haven't heard from you in a while from sort of your remote location.
I know, you could probably tell why, because it looks like Vaseline has been smeared on my lens. I've got a kind of a lo-fi like somebody's going to come in and change my photocopier at some point. But it's going okay. Everybody's got a different circumstance, and mine is, as you can imagine, heavily focused on children. Like, you know, when you've got a 1-year-old, he's kind of constantly tapping at your leg, and you've got a 5-year-old who needs help with school and things like that. So my circumstance is trying to juggle all of that. But there's a lot of things that have worked really well. Like we've found some tools for doing kind of brainstorming together and collaboration, and that is working really well. So some things working well, some things are more of an opportunity or a challenge.
You finally got a laptop now, haven't you?
I have. I can do some work. I'm not just working on.
You didn't have one for the longest time. It's like
working on loo roll just doesn't quite cut it.
Yeah, I think we got that one taken care of just in time there.
Yeah. How about you, Modboard? How have you found it?
Oh, it's nerve-wracking. You know, it's like I've got 5 children myself. They're a bit older, but my 2 oldest daughters are in the U.S. They had to move homes in the middle of COVID, which was really ridiculous. And I'm trying to make a new home here in the UK, and you know, we've taken distancing very seriously. We just don't leave the home. You know, it's like I've got one of my family members is very high risk as well. It's nerve-wracking. It's not easy, right? And then also worrying about the team at large. You know, that's I wouldn't be lying to you if that's not hard on me as well. There's a lot of extra check-ins I do randomly. You know, people doing, not just talking about work, but just seeing how they're being taken care of, see if there's anything we can do to make them more comfortable. Sometimes I'm like ordering furniture and desks and things like that just to kind of accelerate all the comfort elements. Thankfully I got a company credit card for that kind of thing, but it's necessary, right? And yeah, so that part is hard, and then, you know, as you know, more and more time goes on, you know, we get a lot of fatigue as well. I get tired. My team gets tired. Being on Zoom meetings in front of a camera, and you know, it's like making sure you shower in time or shower in between calls. You know, things like that are kind of crazy.
How about you, Huli? Because I know that obviously you've moved from Canada at some point during this process. How have you found adapting back to life in the UK?
Yeah, it's been weird. So, like, 6 weeks ago, I think I was on a plane, just under 6 weeks, coming for this job. It's been crazy. I think, you know, for me, obviously, like, the hardest thing is onboarding to a team. Integrating to a team remotely is something I've never done, and I'm a very like face-to-face verbal person. I work best when I can just go over to someone's desk and annoy the hell out of them. So it's been an adjustment for me to have to learn to do that on Zoom. And obviously, my partner's still in Canada as well. We're waiting for her visa, so. Yeah, it's been a lot of adjustment for me too, but it's been good. Like it's been tough, and it's definitely been challenging to kind of find new ways to work. But it's been an interesting challenge, at least, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I think
Yeah,
I
I was
was a
gonna
little
say,
bit frozen for a
I was
second.
like,
Then
awkward
sorry,
silence.
that wasn't me playing musical statues. I genuinely did freeze, and if I do again, I apologise. How about Mike? How about you?
Yeah, it's been crazy time really. I feel like I've taken root in this chair in this little room, which is fine, but I probably spend way too much time in here now. Obviously, I have all my games behind me, so that's what I do when I'm not working. But yeah, it's. I've also got family members who are shielding, so it's been quite personally a bit of a challenge. But I think we're definitely getting through it. I think the team overall. I find it difficult not to see each other as often as they used to. They're a really close bunch. So, we get together on Discord and stuff like that. We've been playing games on on Friday nights and things. But yeah, it's just not actually seeing each other. It's been probably hardest, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd echo that. I think that the most difficult part for me is not being able to, as Hooley says, sort of jump over to somebody's desk and ask them a question rather than having to try and grab 5 minutes at some point in a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So, I think everybody comes with their own. Comes with their own challenges. That's definitely the wrong way of putting it. Everybody has their own challenges, and I know that obviously then kind of builds up to a point where, as I say, that it becomes a very different experience. And at kind of a team level, Mike, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. Kind of what challenges from a team level and a productivity level have we found? And I'll probably go to Warden first on this one.
Yeah, really. Like where we last left you, we kind of were in this perfect storm kind of way, right? With launching Archaeology, we just moved the whole company to working from home. The company took really good care of us during that time. Trying to get online and connected, and running updates across data pipes that probably weren't really equipped for the load that we have, and while that's a lot easier now, it's still slow working remotely, on a lot of different fronts. We've got a lot of big art assets that we got artists moving back and forth from their own pipes and so on, right? So I think now we're fast forward months in right now. I would say that for some folks, they work really well at home and work at a high level of efficiency, and others greatly reduced, right? We've got a variety of unique scenarios. Maud Osborne was mentioning that he has kids. We've got a lot of parents that are also homeschooling right now, right? They're sharing their office space with their partners or other family members. Some of us don't even have office space. It's like I've got some folks that have small enough rooms where it's like, okay, I'm getting you a laptop desk, right? Or a lap desk, and it's like they sit on the sofa. And that's that all this stuff has to be taken in consideration. It's not optimal, right? And everything just takes that much longer to do overall. Right? But we've released Archaeology into a totally different world, right? And we're all kind of unified by this. We're all sharing this globally, and even within that, we've had other things that pop up that we've never anticipated would be affecting us in the way they do. Black Lives Matter. This is a momentous change globally, right? The progress and discussion around the Me Too movement. It's like this stuff's important, and it's important for us to even take a pause and stop and look at what we're doing, and are we doing good enough in these areas? We taking time out in our work weeks to spend time on this and addressing it in a lot of different ways. So there's that kind of thing. Now, it's like when I look at all of the different elements that I have to do as an EP, so I look at our short term all through the second half of year plans. I have to look 1, 2, now 5 years into our future, and I don't know our history well enough, but I think this is relatively new for the company and for the franchise of RuneScape. So building those longer term plans takes a lot of effort and a lot of alignment to do, well beyond just looking at content. I know I had a good was a Reddit post last week that was asking about bringing new blood into the game. Right, this is something that is very near and dear to me, and I need to be able to look at where those new players are going to come from. Right, we got to be very forward-looking there. There's a lot of different means to address that. So now, kind of bringing back to content. And it's just that we're now adjusting to the reality of our production capability, and we're going to shift some gears. So what's changing at the end of the day, right? I'm not in a position to make archaeology level content. It's just not feasible at this moment, right? But what I want to do, and what I believe we are moving towards, and what I'm confident in we're moving towards, is a much more tighter cadence. And we want to move to a relatively decent monthly release, right? So rather than waiting for 6-month releases, year releases, or something that we've talked about and maybe not get to deliver for a variety of reasons, I can manage the predictability better in a shorter time frame. This is taking us into a new way that we work internally. So normally it's like we build all these teams. We had episodic, we've had core experience, we've had live ops, right? Even in the episodic realm, to build a monthly cadence release, I'm getting multiple teams working in parallel. We've got multiple design briefs. Poor mod Timbo is just cranking out design briefs. Mada's cranking out design briefs, and we're rapidly pivoting towards a shorter cadence. Now, what does that look like at the end of the day, right? So I want to be able to try and get us towards a minimum guarantee of content. It's like, is it big? Is it small? It's going to actually be a mixture of everything. And the first couple that we're going to do, where it's about practicing, working as a new team, getting out the content in a tighter release window, right? And then we're going to start peppering in more medium and larger pieces of content throughout the course of the coming year. So we want to address all of it, but it's going to take us a bit for us to get there. So what's upcoming? We'll just start laying out some of this right here. We've mentioned Desperate Measures coming out on the 27th. We've got a summer event upcoming. We call it the beach, right? You guys know what the beach is. And we're going to be putting out a news post about that on Friday. On the Ninja front, just want to touch base on Ninja for a bit. I'm really happy with what we've been doing with the quality of life updates. We've done Grand Exchange, we've done Shattered Worlds, we've done the T92, we've done a lot of other things, and that's given us a lot of kind of short-term improvement to the game that you guys have been asking for us there. And I'm not going to spill all the plans for Ninja, but we are adding more to what we're doing on the Ninja front. So a couple things I want to ask for your guys' help on the Ninja front. First of all, is we're going to be working on a Luna spellbook, and we want to ask you guys about which spells you want us to include in that. So I want to point you towards the dojo to get that feedback. I've talked to Mod Kari about this already, and she's going to be looking for out those updates. Clue scrolls. Clue scrolls really top of mind on the Ninja front. Now, these aren't replacements for content updates, but this is going to lead into what I'll talk to you a little more about. Again, I want to point you towards the dojo on that. Clan updates are very top of mind for us. We want to hear from you about what we should focus on in the area of clans. And are there any other major themes that you want us to address? Maybe there's a certain mini game or a certain skill that you'd like us to focus on. So this is my Ninja soapbox. I believe in Ninja a lot. We've got multiple teams working on Ninja updates where we had slowed down considerably over the past year plus on that. So that's working out well for us. We really believe in this piece. It's making a difference. So other things. I know I'm not giving much of a chance to breathe here, but a couple things I want to draw a highlight to. So we're going to be bringing out another piece of content, which is to really follow up on the successful Alchemical Onyx piece of content. I'm not going to kind of go beyond that, We're not quite ready to talk into it. It's well in development, and we think that you're going to really like this release. I'm going to tease up. Let's see, September. Certain 12th year anniversary of a fun little piece of content. I think that we're going to bring out. Now, all the tinfoil hat people are going to try and figure out what that is. But it's the 12th anniversary. And it could probably be all over the place. Maybe some good stuff, maybe some bad stuff. We'll leave it to you guys to figure out there. We're going to be adding another dig site to Archaeology. That's another update we've got in the works. Archaeology has been one of our best pieces of content in recent times. You guys told us that. We see it from a data perspective. You're still running through all the content there. And we've got another dig site that we can bring, and it's actually, we call it the Orthen dig site. So we'll kind of mention that. Let's see, live ops front. Another thing that we've heard a lot from you all is our seasonal events. Last year I started, was it early September, leading into Halloween. Everyone was asking us about our Halloween showing. We'd like to do a lot more on Halloween for starters. So we've got that well in development there. Christmas, we like to do something more during the Christmas season, right? And we're committed to doing that as well. But what we're trying to do with our kind of monthly release cadence that we're going to try and work towards here. Again, it's going to take us a little bit to get there. Is that we know that we have a lot of different player groups, and we're going to do our best to cater for all of our players. The area bossing, skilling, and questing in particular, and there's a lot of other derivatives in there as well. But we really want to address this, and we're very, very committed to the lore and narrative of the game. And we'll be addressing this more in our plans. We're probably not going to be at our peak questing time period. I know we've got a lot of great players that track how many quests that we do on a year-to-year basis. But we're going to try and get out another quest by the end of the year. Not guaranteed, but we're going to shoot for that. Let's see what else I got on my list here. I know there's a lot of rambling, I know, but yeah. Is there anything I miss, Mod Mike?
I think there are things that we're also talking about around skill training methods that sound really exciting. I think Mod Osborne's been doing loads of really hard work there. I'm working with the team on which areas we can sort of focus in on, and then we've got things going on like the Yak Track still happening. I've seen lots of feedback from the way we've made changes there, trying to fix some of the kind of grindier elements. I know there's still, some people still feel a lot of these are quite intensive, but I think we definitely made some good progress with the most recent version. And there's some really interesting stuff happening on the next one in terms of like linking into things like distractions and diversions and clue scrolls and all the other great bits of content like that. Mm-hmm. So also taking a look at the quality of the cosmetics and just make sure we address some of the feedback around like female variants of the armors. I know we talked about that one before, but we did have stuff that was kind of already in production. So I realize we're still waiting for that to happen, but you should see that soon.
And we've involved a lot of the players on some of the ideation around that as well, right? Yeah. We're getting a lot of questions here about God War Dungeon, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll say it here. We are developing God War Dungeon. So I want to reassure players that this isn't not on the roadmap at all. We've kind of teased it in a variety of different ways, right? We've got a team on it, and when we start getting our monthly cadence really kind of worked out, we'll be able to bring more heat to it. So this is not off of our roadmap at all. So hopefully that brings some clarity on whether we're doing it or not.
Okay, all right. So there's quite a lot to disentangle there. That is a shopping list. Okay, so for anybody that missed any of that stuff, we will be doing a live stream roundup of this as well. So this will be in a written format, hopefully towards the part at some point next week. Let's go through each item. Okay. Let's talk about, I can't remember which order you went in, to be perfectly honest with you. But let's talk about, so first of all, Beach coming back on the 20th of July. That's fun. Mod Mike, is there anything that we can expect that's a little bit different this time around?
Well, there's some really cool new outfits. There's some cool little pets and just all the fun stuff that you normally get from the beach. So, yeah, I know last time a lot of people said they wanted to see that return. We know, there's some other really exciting new content that's coming as well. But yeah, a lot of people wanted to see Claudia come back, so I'm really pleased to see that. It's one of my favourites.
Yeah, Mod Mohawk has basically just done a greatest hits of the beach. And just make sure that all the stuff that people like is in there, so you can guarantee.
And Mod Hooli, I know obviously we've talked about quite a lot over the course of that last, I suppose, 10 minutes or so. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think like going back to what Mod Warden was saying about the challenges we faced with COVID. I've come onto the team a little bit later. The reality of the hit to our production with all those things like homeschooling, everything, was pretty apparent when I joined. It was something that wasn't actively being worked against. And what I'm actually really excited about is seeing the team get energized around this. It's not ideal that we have to adapt. We never want to have to face something as huge as COVID, but that's the card we've been dealt. And I think what's really cool is as a player, I'm really excited to just see the team adapting, kind of looking for the opportunity with these kind of smaller pieces of content with an increased focus on regularity, knowing that those bigger content kind of milestones are a little bit more difficult to achieve right now with the production hit. So I can't wait to see what Osborne and stuff cook up with the designs in these new little formats, and also to see what kind of content we can talk about, as I said, hopefully in a more regular cadence as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I mean, as a player, I feel like time slows down under lockdown. The weekly updates feel like what's happening. I want to see what's coming out, and I want content, and as a player, and I completely understand that. And this really serves that. People feeling it.
Well, it's something we've heard a lot of, right, over the past few months as well. It's about what more content can we see in combination with things like Ninja and stuff, which are doing amazing things too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think it's really important. The team have worked, really hard to get a solid plan in place. So, well done to those guys. But as Mod Warden said, some of these things have to happen in parallel. So make sure that we've got the right stuff happening at the right time.
Yeah, we've got to kind of like de-risk things, throughout the course. And one of the things I hate as a game developer is throwing something out there and not being able to follow through on it, right? And I think when I was first starting to get introduced to the community, I mentioned that we need to get our batting average up. I wasn't anticipating COVID. I wasn't anticipating, any of the other changes here. But and also in reality, in game development, these plans change behind the scenes so much all the time. Sometimes when you're working on a AAA game, you're cutting scope. Sometimes you're delaying a DLC. Sometimes you're taking a totally new direction. Every time that happens, I know Mod Mike hates me saying pivoting, but every time we have to make a pivot, it's a planning cycle for us, right? And we want to take out the risk. We want to try and ensure delivery. And we want to be happy with what we're making. We don't want to compromise a whole lot, right? So it's hard. But it's the reality of game development.
I actually just want to pick up on something I see in chat around the lack of communication during that period as well. There's something a lot of us took to heart whilst a lot of this was getting worked out. One thing I do want to say is this stream, I think, an example of more of what we're looking to do, which is, I saw some people saying, why would you do this way and not as a written post? And it's a dialogue, right? Like what we want to do is bring you closer to the development of the game and keep you informed, but also doing what we talked about before. I know Mod was mentioned many times, which is being careful to announce things before we're ready to announce them. And that doesn't mean not providing you updates and telling you the generalities on things we're working on, but we want to make sure when we talk about things, we know we're going to hit that quality bar that we've talked about, that we want to do, that the delay to Archaeology gave us. We hit all those things that we believe in, and we kind of move on from that hit rate, I guess, of the past, where the memes come out and everything. We want to find that happy medium where you feel informed and you feel close to us, but at the same time we're announcing things at the right time rather than the wrong time, essentially too far ahead.
And then some of the other things happening in the background, right, is I have to look at the capacity of the team and capability of the team. I hired a brand new lead producer, and he's joining us over from Remedy, where we got to work on Control. And I've worked with him in the past on EVE Online and World of Darkness. And so that was a significant major hire for us. He's now in the team. I've had to onboard him. A lot of people have had to work on onboarding him. That was a new ad. I've hired a new art director. He's currently wrapping up his work over at King, and he's been working on Call of Duty Mobile. And this is another significant hire for us. I've hired a whole new content development team. As well. I've also got another producer in there. So this is giving you an idea that I'm trying to scale our effort on the backside of everything. And we don't talk about that very, very often because sometimes it's kind of boring, but it's really important to try and provide more certainty to what we're doing. And then also, having a team that is trying to figure out new ways to work. We're working on processes. Like, this stuff isn't exciting, but it takes a lot of effort, and we get a lot of feedback on it. And we're not nearly moving at the rate that we'd like to, but we're trying to change the way that we work. Right, that takes up a lot of time in what we do. So those are other things that happen in the background, and so yeah, I try and get out when I can. I'm up for air now, so hopefully this helps.
Okay, we also talked about Orthen, which is something that I know that obviously we talked about again at RuneFest. And Mod Osborne, I wonder if you're able to give us maybe like we're in the design stages right now, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Are you
Absolutely.
able to give us any? Are we going to get able to give us any kind of top level information about what perhaps what kind of scope we're looking at for it, and how what kinds of things that players might come to expect from the content?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you say, there's the caveat of things may change, but there are certainly kind of very broad things we want it to do. We don't want it to. It's not going to feel any smaller than a traditional dig site. We want to have that dig site feeling, that joy of uncovering things, of navigating the environment. Uncovering lore, that kind of thing. Is still going to feel like a dig site in that sense. But Orthen is fantastic because it's a site, if you know your story, it's a site of Anachronia, but it's also Dragonkin, it's Elder Gods. It ties into so many core elements of our storyline. So we can actually, where Archaeology focused a lot on the past, this one can focus a lot on our upcoming story as well, and how that kind of cyclical nature of history, stuff that's happened in the past, is going to have relevance in the here and now. We can play around with that. But we're going to do some fun stuff. Like I think we're ready for an objective or a milestone beyond Warforge. So going to pull people through Archaeology towards Orthen. We want to innovate. Maybe excavation and discoveries, mysteries. They feel a little bit different from other dig sites. We're going to play a little bit. So it's going to feel a bit more joyful, a little bit of surprise in there. But yeah, it's going to have kick-ass rewards as well. If you think that we've had an ancient invention, we've had ancient summoning, it may not be an ancient reward that we get from Orthen, but it will be significant. We've already got some real spaces that we think are going to address a lot of areas that players have problems with in Archaeology. We hear people talking about how relics have issues, their kind of versatility and things like that. This allows us to kind of address it within a dig site, and that's great.
I'm excited.
Sounds really exciting. Yeah, I can't wait to see what that's like. And I think that, as I say, we've seen obviously players' really positive reaction to Archaeology and trying to fill out that gap between sort of the latter stages of Archaeology. I think that it fits a real gap at the moment.
I mean, Archaeology does feel full. I don't think there's necessarily any kind of gaps per se, but I think people are up for it, right? You could overdo the dig sites, but I think in the post Warforge setting of Archaeology, I think that's the ideal place to put it.
Cool. One thing that I wanted to just quickly touch on was because again it's one of the RuneFest bits and pieces that we haven't heard an update on perhaps in a while. And now that we've got you on the stream, Osborne, is activity pets.
Yes,
because
of course.
obviously that's something that we were talking about earlier on this year, and we've not sort of had an update for a while. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, it's progressing. It's doing really well. We've got I think 2 pets are done. I think another 2 are just having final touches, feedback, that sort of thing. We're just kind of letting it sit on the back burner as we always had. There's no news on date. We're just going to let it progress, and I'm sure you'll hear about it in a future live stream.
Yeah, and we've touched on Ninja as well earlier on from what Warden was talking about. We have kind of not committed per se, but we have put out a regular cadence of Ninja content. Are we looking to kind of keep that sort of level of cadence moving forward as well, in terms of at the moment it's kind of 2 a month, that sort of approach?
We
We're
started
looking to
out,
maintain that.
Yeah, we started out, I think, about every 3 to 4 weeks, and then we're down to 2 a month now.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, I think, as I say, what I would highlight from what you said earlier is that we want this to be this kind of collaborative process. So obviously we did the PAG earlier on this year as well, the player advocacy group, and that obviously provided us with a load of ideas for things that we can try and attack in the future. So you start to see some of that kind of stuff filtering through in the next few Ninja Strikes as well. Huli, have you got your kind of best place perhaps to answer this question in terms of PAGs moving forward? What are we looking to do with that kind of approach? Are we looking to kind of spin up more PAGs for different types of content, perhaps some of the content that we've talked about today?
Yeah, I mean, I hear discussions about it all the time. I don't think we're at a stage for anything, but I think for me as a community manager, like, the potential of PAGs is awesome. I saw there was some great discussion on Reddit and Twitter that I was having with some people around this. It's not intended to replace player feedback that we see online. It's meant to add an extra layer of depth. It's meant to kind of give an extra kind of bit of oomph to that full picture we build. It sits alongside all the feedback we see online, the way we see you react to things, the data we see. Maybe Models one can talk a little bit more to that depth, but it's part of that bigger picture. It's not a replacement for it, and that's what makes it really exciting. Is it's just extra player voice within the studio.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, you look at we had similar feedback when we did the annual survey that is this the only thing that's going to drive the schedule? I'm like, it's not. We draw from a lot of different resources. PAGs is superb because we get to drill down on some very kind of very intelligent, game-interested people and get some oriented kind of feedback and ideas, and that suits certain things. It might be that it doesn't suit a quest, but it might suit something like we've been talking about kind of Orthen and things like that. We might be some very archaeology-oriented people who can get involved in that, but that's all to come.
Nice one. And if for everybody who perhaps isn't aware of what a PAG is, or player advocacy group, what we try and do is we try and invite a champion into to liaise with our developers on a particular area of I suppose development that we would like a little bit of support or feedback from players. We invite a big group, sort of normally between about 12 and 20 players, to feedback to us in various different sessions over the course of about a month on a particular issue or a particular area that we would like a bit more sort of detailed, laser focused feedback on. So yeah, you might be hearing more about those in the near future. Mike, I wanted to get you into the conversation a little bit to talk about holiday events, because obviously this is something that we perhaps have maybe not necessarily been able to dedicate as much time and support as we would like to be able to like to have done in the past. Warden's obviously indicated that it's something that we're looking to do more with. Can you kind of go into a little bit more detail?
Okay, so I think definitely Mod Wardens talked about Halloween and how last year we didn't really have Halloween content. I think there was the Yak track, which was kind of like spooky theme, but it wasn't a Halloween update as such. So I've been chatting to the team this week about, let's having a look at some previous years when we really nailed it. Like I think it was like 2014 when we did things like Death's Door and Broken Home.
Broken Home was my favourite.
Broken Home was so good.
Brilliant quest.
I just remember the music from that Death's Door thing. It just gets in your head. So yeah, we've been chatting about what we can do there to make something a bit more with a bit more depth to it. So the guys are working on designs at the moment. But so yeah, Halloween. Then again, what do we do around Christmas? What can we add to it in terms of is it things like winter weekends? Bring those back, and some some quality content for Christmas. I think we had a couple of things earlier this year that didn't work quite so well, like the Easter event was maybe didn't go quite as smoothly as we wanted. So we're gonna look at those again. We kind of do retrospectives on these things, and we'll make some improvements.
Hey, Mike,
Lovely.
Anything you want to cover that I might have missed on the cadence strategy that you and I have been working on?
Well, yeah, only that, we're talking about monthly releases, but the game's still updated every week, so you've still got things like the ninja strikes as well. So we're gonna keep updating the game every week as you're used to. I think looking further ahead, it's about how do you get the right mix. Is it these things aren't all going to be small things? There's going to be small, medium, things like Orthen are a bit larger. So we're going to try and get the right blend and almost have a bit more of a theme for each month. So we'll pick a certain thing, and just really dig into it. So things like it could be distractions and diversions, and we'll kind of give it a bit of focus around it. So yeah, loads of good stuff.
I like the narrative challenge as well. Like, how can when you're moving? Well, first of all, we're moving to other things that we're making. So obviously, how can the story pivot there or change? But also tell stories through updates that aren't necessarily just quests. Skipping elements and things like that.
I think it's going to challenge us in a lot of ways too, right? We got to have a lot of things moving in parallel in different states. But I think it's gonna be hard and challenging. But I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is like an intention for us, right? Like it's a goal. We're not saying the 100% is going to be monthly yet, because like as we talked about, it's a shift in approach for us, right? But that's the goal, right? It's something we want to get to, rather than something we're saying, hey, from next month expect content monthly for sure, right?
Yeah.
So we've got an opportunity. We've got sort of 5-10 minutes or so for some player questions from the chat. So if you've got any questions in the chat, please chuck them in there, and the guys who are looking after the chat at the moment will stick them in my script. But I wanted to just quickly finish sort of this section on talking about kind of how you guys feel about the kind of the change to the approach that we're taking, because obviously it has been a massive shift. It is a massive shift in terms of the way that we're thinking about things, and the way that we're actually kind of executing some of this stuff now. So I'm going to start with you, Orthen. How do you feel about the change?
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, it's like every time certain situations come across your plate, you try and take a step back and say, like, how can we do this better? And I think this is a good catalyst for that. And I really want to do it all, right? I want to be able to hit all the swim lanes of activity that players really care about. And I think this is a really good next step. Again, I mentioned kind of like almost like a minimum guarantee, right? Something that I can get at a regular beat that you can predict. And yeah, we still have the weekly releases, and that's still going to be there. But kind of like what Mod Mike was saying, a content theme is going to be really important to make this work, and then we'll pepper it with larger things as we go on.
Osborne, how about you? How are you feeling about it?
Well, I mean, I've always been happiest when we are exciting players. That's what I really want, and the idea of a month being something that content can come in and can surprise me, and I can almost guarantee that. And also, if we can up that communication, and we've got real plans for that, we've got some kind of announcements for that soon as well. About might up that and make that popular. With those two hand in hand, I really want to bring that excitement bubbling up back into the community, and that's what I love.
Mike, how about you? Let's go to you next.
Well, yeah, for me, I think it's just about having a sort of longer view of the plans and start looking a bit further ahead. So we tend in the past to be a little bit kind of reactive and just kind of changing things based on what's immediately in front of us. But we've got some really exciting times happening, like next year. So I want to see us get the plan nailed down so we can tackle some of those really ambitious things. I can see people in the chat saying some of them. But yeah, so we want to still be able to do those bigger, more ambitious pieces, and we will be able to do that as well. So yeah.
And Mod Hooley, obviously you're fairly new to things, so this has kind of been your entirety so far. But how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, great. I mean, I think from one of the big things for my team, we all love communicating with you, and we want to do more of it. And this today we see as the start of a continued discussion, and something that, for me as a community manager, I'm really excited to be able to talk about a lot of what we had today, and find ways to keep you more informed. And as we talked about, like, make you feel closer to the team. This is a team that's so passionate about player voice that not only do we have things like PAGs, but half the time I go to tell someone something I've read on Reddit or Twitter, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've already read that. I read that like this morning at 4 a.m. when I woke up." This is just we want to find more ways to bring you that and show you that feeling, and how much this team takes players to heart. So, the opportunity to do that around a monthly cadence that we hopefully end up with is going to be exciting. So.
Cool. There's a couple of questions in the chat that I wanted to touch on. So there was one around player, I suppose, using player feedback to determine some of the content that we might be looking at. Maybe not necessarily in the short term, but sort of further down the line. Are there plans to get the community more involved in that kind of decision making process moving forward?
Oh,
I'll go to
100%.
Hulu first, actually.
Absolutely. Oh, go on. I was only going to say, like, that there are plans. Like, I've got a determination to get the annual survey out. The annual cadence is towards August, so I'm committing myself to that. I would love to ramp up the PAGs to look at some of the things we're planning for the year. There's so many things we've got in the works. Yes,
I mean,
for me.
we've even had players joining in with some of our kind of design and brainstorming sessions recently, which has been really cool. Some great stuff coming out of those. So, yeah, definitely think there's more we can do as well.
I think we could also like maybe consider kind of like broadly discuss items in our backlog, right? And if players want to nudge us towards certain areas and speak loudly about them, I think that would be a good indication of focus for us as well. I'm not looking at it like a voting system or anything like that, but I think that in general terms, that wouldn't be such a bad idea.
Awesome. Okay, there was a question about interface scaling, Warden. I believe last time we were on the live stream, yourself and Mike were talking about interface scaling and UI. That seems like an interesting discussion to have. Maybe not in the last 3 minutes that we've got of the stream, but is that something that we're still actively investigating?
Yeah, so I think the last time I talked to players, I mentioned that I saw some prototypes of it, and that was totally the case. We've completed, I think, most of the dev work or the engineering side of the technology for the client. So we've now handed over that tech over to content devs, and we're going to focus first are the most impactful screens to improve on. Most likely ones that are going to support the new player experiences better, right? That's going to be an area of focus. I think we have over 3,000 UIs in the game. We can't possibly tackle all of them, but we're going to pick the highest priority ones to make improvements there. Make them more readable at the end of the day.
Okay, cool. And I'm just going to I'll see how much time we've got left to answer any more questions, but I wanted to touch on, so we talked, Maud Osborne, about mastery a while back, and obviously there have been kind of different interpretations of what that perhaps meant. Can you be able to just clarify what it is that your vision of kind of remastery is, and is that something that we're looking to kind of build into some of this more regular cadence moving forward?
So remastery is not necessarily always bringing out something new, a new system, a new challenge or objective, that kind of thing. But sometimes we have established stuff that could do with reinvigorating graphically, adding quality of life to, but also maybe adding a little something new to do, a little challenge within it. That was the original concept of remastering. That kind of bleeds into so much that we do now. So Ninja, obviously, I mean, you can look at the Shattered Worlds improvements as a fantastic example of something that is mastery. It made it worth doing again while also kind of reworking it. And you will see that kind of DNA within a number of the updates we're producing that are coming up. Even some of the things that I've talked about, like Orthen is taking the approach of, well, what is somewhat broken with archaeology and can it fix it? So everything is being seen through that lens. We haven't got any kind of landmark remastery updates for me to kind of shove in front of your face right now, but that may well.
And I'm just going to throw one more question here because there is a lot of chat about this in the chat. Warden, we probably have to talk about mobile and what the update around mobile is. Can you give us a little bit of an update as to where we are with it, iOS in particular?
Yeah, I don't want to rush through this. Mind if we maybe get a mobile specific stream on there? We can get Mod Hypnos on there. I think that would be probably more appropriate. I see iOS moving by. I want to get this out as soon as we can, but we're in beta phase, right? We just got Apple login out a couple weeks ago. We need some more run time. We're working through all of the iOS compliance items. Like, we can't just put out an iOS product when we want it. We have to get through all the compliance requirements first, and that's still going to take us some time. So it's coming. Don't worry about it. Hopefully, don't worry about it. But that's where we're at.
I'm going to sneak one more in just before the end because I'd be remiss if I didn't get it in.
Oh, come on! Who's
keeping you late? Just a quick
just when
one.
I thought we could be friends.
Mod Warden, I think it'd be remiss if we didn't talk about. So some people are saying, obviously, we just talked about a bunch of stuff. Is there a roadmap? What's our thoughts on a roadmap?
Yeah, so I try and be very clear about this. I'm not the guy that's going to put out a roadmap. Here's what we're doing every single month. I feel like it'd just be, kind of layered with disappointment if we're missing things from time to time, right? And my roadmaps change rapidly behind the scenes, and I don't think I could keep it in a spot that you guys would be happy with at the end of the day, right? Like, for example, the world of COVID, couldn't anticipate that. We've obviously had to make a number of changes to accompany that. So I will definitely come to you, and I think I've shown a pretty good track record of this when I'm confident in things moving forward. Like even the things that we talked about today, right? Where I'm moving out of the comfort zone a little bit, right? But they're far enough along, and we're committed to doing them that it's like this is a good spot to at least mention them. And it's like dates. It's like we're usually 3 to 4 weeks out from a product launch when we start probably teasing it, right? And that's where the confidence is there. The execution is going to be there. That it's in our weekly release timing. So all of that really has to fit well for us. And on top of that, when we shift things around, we've got a marketing effort that happens, and it has to be in sync with, right? We just don't talk about content willy-nilly. We like to bring some momentum to it and get you a little excited in the best way possible, right? So these things have to be really kind of strategically placed, and that's the way I work, and that's the way I'm working with the team right now.
Yeah, and as a community team, we're very much like on the same page as well with that, obviously, because like we said earlier, we want to walk the right line, right? We don't want to make mistakes of talking about content too early. We want to give it the time, the gestation it needs. But also, that doesn't mean a lack of transparency. That doesn't mean we're not going to keep you updated. That's something that we're wanting to start with this conversation. We just don't think a roadmap is the way to do that. And we're completely on board. And it's one of those things where don't take no roadmap as the team not wanting to keep you informed. We're just going to walk a balance between the two.
I like that.
All right then,
Mike, you look like you want to say something.
No, I was just going to say, we are constantly changing roadmaps. This is the problem with roadmaps; they're always being updated. So yeah, it's just I agree with what Mod Warden said.
Okay. All right. Well, let's finish on that then. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. We're hopefully going to get a write-up of this and release it at some point, either in the next few days or the start of next week. There'll also be the VOD for you guys to watch afterwards as well. Plenty of things that we've talked about today. So, Desperate Measures is going to be our all-new quest coming on the 27th of July. So, guys, get ready. You're going to need to have completed Desperate Times, Combat 75, Archaeology level 50, Agility level 50, and you should be a RuneScape member as well. So get prepared, ready to go. We've talked about changes to the update schedule and some of the things that you guys can look forward to, like Orthen and a few other bits and pieces that I, off the top of my head, cannot list all of them, but the beach is also coming as well on the 20th, as well as some other fun bits that we've kind of half alluded to that we'll give you a little bit more information about further down the line.
12th anniversary.
12th anniversary, yeah, disentangle that one. And then we've got the tutorial stream coming on Thursday as well. So if you guys enjoy Mod Stew and More Perky going through some of the older RuneScape tutorials, it's a really interesting stream. I thoroughly recommend it. But that's pretty much it from us today. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We hope you have found this informative and useful, and we want to try and do more of this kind of thing. So give us your feedback if you can. We're going to finish today just leaving you on the end card for Desperate Measures release date, so you guys can see it in all its glory. Then we're going to try and raid someone afterwards. So thank you very much, Mod Osborne.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Mod Warden.
Thanks for hanging in there, guys.
Thanks, Mod Mike.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mod Hooley.
Thanks. Sorry, I didn't give you cat.
Or
Well, we should have
pizza.
a cat. We should have a cat stream later on in the year. But thanks very much, everybody, for watching. Hope you have a lovely evening, and we'll see you soon.